Dear friends of Hellenic Studies, welcome back for the second of 3 Exploring Hellenism sessions. Today we showcase the Cycladic island of Sifnos. For those joining for the first time, my name is Tula Christopoulos, and I'm a longtime member of the Stockton University Friends of Hellenic Studies. I'm also the assistant to Dr. Tom Papadimitriou, professor of history at Stockton and executive director of the Dean C. and Zoe S. Pappas Interdisciplinary Center for Hellenic Studies at Stockton. The Friends of Hellenic Studies motto, Lambadia Echondes Dosusin Alilis, translates to those who possess the light shall pass it on to others, and comes from Plato's The Republic. We are fortunate to have as co-chairs of the Friends of Hellenic Studies, Professor Sarah Albertson and Catherine Karathanasis. Many of you will remember Catherine, who spoke last week about the island of Andros. Well, for those who did not know him, I would like to now attempt to show you a photo of Professor Demetrius Konstantelos. And I hope that you can see him. Let me make sure that there's a share going on here. And I want to just show you this photo. The Reverend Dr. Demetrius Konstantelos, who was the founder of the Hellenic Studies program at Stockton University over 20 years ago. And when he created it, it was not for Greeks or for Greek Americans, but for everyone. His belief was, why reinvent knowledge that the ancient Greeks already had discovered? Why not use that as a foundation to create a better future and a better world? Last week, Professor Catherine Panagakos told you about our Hellenic Studies Scholarship Program. But the benefits and positive outcomes of these scholarships are best described by the students who receive them. It's a pleasure to introduce to you Megan Coates, who has agreed to say a few words about her Hellenic Studies overseas experience. So, welcome, Megan.
All right, so I began attending Stockton University in the fall of 2016, where I had the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to take the Worlds of Homer course taught by Professor David Roselle. During that course, I was able to go over a lot of different things that I had learned as a child in primary school, 5th, 6th, and 7th grade, about all of the ancient Greek mythologies and the stories about the Iliad and the Odyssey, and it was all very captivating to me. However, in the fall, at the very end, the professor asked me if I was open to traveling to Greece and being able to see some of the ancient monuments and some of the locations that were in the stories that we were learning about. And fortunately, I was able to go, and it was an absolutely positively life-changing experience for me. After traveling to Athens and Cyprus, I returned to Stockton with an entirely different attitude towards the world. I had never even been on an airplane before, and this is all thanks to Stockton University and specifically the Friends of Hellenic Studies program. When I returned, I decided to change my major to archaeology and Greek, and I've been able to take plenty of courses surrounding the subject matter, including philosophy. I've been able to take ancient Greek as a language, and I've also taken Mediterranean culture and archaeology. And as a result, I was asked if I would like to study with an icon painter in Cyprus, which was another life-changing opportunity. And because of the Friends of Hellenic Studies program, along with their funding and their very dedicated professors, I was able to study abroad in Cyprus for an entire semester. And while I was there, I was able to study the fundamentals of icon painting, and I immersed myself in the modern Greek language. So now I can also speak modern Greek along with the ancient Greek, which is something that I never thought possible. When I've returned in this past fall, I've been able to talk to other students about the possibility of traveling abroad, and the opportunities that the Friends of Hellenic Studies has offered me. I wish in any way to help this program because of how much it was able to change my life and how important these opportunities that are afforded to these students who may not necessarily have the opportunities in other places. I would like to thank the board and all of its members, along with their encouragement at Stockton University for the opportunities. And I am now proud to say that I can apply to graduate school with a full repertoire of the knowledge that I'll need to be able to become a professional in this academic world. And I just would like to thank the board so much for all of the opportunities and all of the funding that it was able to give me in my times of need and education. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Megan, for a very moving and emotional and very clear testimonial. We really appreciate it. There is a lot of work that goes into it, and this program, Exploring Hellenism, is one of them. We try to publicize and make sure everybody knows what we're all about. And ironically, this horrible situation with the pandemic has afforded us the opportunity to put this program online, so that now we've had people who are tuning in from California to Greece to watch this. So you're an international celebrity now. So, thank you very much. And best to you. Stay safe, stay home, and best of you for all the opportunities that you need in the world in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity for allowing me to give a testimonial and how important this program is to so many students like myself.
Cool. Thanks. So, because we are pre-recorded, if you have any questions for today's speaker, please email them to me at fhsfriendshellenic@stockton.edu. We'll select a few and forward the questions and answers to all of you who registered for the program. Okay, about 3 years ago, I was in Athens, Greece. One day, I walked into the Lazy Bulldog British pub, mainly because the sign outside read, Greek craft beer. Well, I had just been chatting about Greek craft beers with the cab driver who had dropped me off at the Benaki Museum. So when I saw this, I thought, it's a sign. I must stop in and have one. I ordered one called Flatos, and it was really good. The bartender explained that it's brewed on the island of Sifnos. He then took a small ceramic piece and placed it next to my glass of beer. Let me show you if I can. I hope you can see this. This is my glass of beer, and this is the Flatos. I hope it's, let me make sure that it's being shared. Let's see. Not sure here. Maybe this is now. I think you can see it now. The beer and importantly, and the Flatos right here. So he explained to me that a Flatos is, this was a miniature example of Flatos, which is ceramic chimney caps that are seen throughout the Cycladic Islands, especially on Sifnos. So now I had learned two things about Sifnos, what a Flatos is and that they make really good craft beers. Maria Kazantzis will tell you about the Flatos and a whole lot more. But before she does, I'd like to say a few words about her. Maria married her husband, Nicholas, in Greece in May 1970 and came to the US the following month. They were blessed with two daughters, Christina and Kathy, and Maria worked at the St. Nicholas Greek Orthodox community in Newark, New Jersey as a secretary and Greek school teacher, as well as a Greek language court reporter. While working full-time, she got a Bachelor of Science degree in Office Systems Administration and Computer Science at Montclair State College. She then got a Master of Business Administration in Information Systems Professionals from Fairleigh Dickinson University and worked in IT for 20 years. She retired from Verizon Wireless as a manager of production support and is currently working in real estate as a sales associate. I am so pleased to introduce to you Mrs. Maria Pazantzis.
If you wonder why I did not start talking right away, well, I was dancing to the music, Opa. Γεια σας. Happy Mother's Day today. Χρόνια πολλά στις μητέρες. Allow me, please, for a few minutes to take you on a virtual tour to the Greek island called Sifnos. Every time we go to Greece, we stay at our home in Athens, the place of my childhood. Then after a week, we like to explore a different part of the country. Last year, beginning June, we decided to visit Sifnos, a small Cycladic island. You see it here on my slide, and I have the arrow pointing to it. It's a small Cycladic island, only 9 miles long, 4.7 miles wide, and the shoreline is 43 miles. The permanent population, 2,625. I researched it from US and found it to be of interest. With our loaded car, we boarded a modern and fast ferry in Piraeus, Athens port, and traveled 80 nautical miles, and in about 3 hours, with a stop to Serifos, we arrived in Sifnos. We quickly got out as the ferry had to continue to Milos, the next island. Immediately, the small port transformed from a quaint little port to a busy area, with cars and people mixing in a frenzy. Our hotel was Dolphin, a typical Cycladic architecture characterized with the white, boxy-looking structures. It was beautiful, extremely clean, with magnificent sea views from every room, and with an extremely accommodating and friendly personnel. Once in the room, we opened the balcony door, and the welcome from the Aegean Sea was so capturing. The air hit our face and instantly brought us to different levels, wondering if this is true paradise. The sound of the ferry reminded us that this was an island that other people would like to visit. A beautiful veranda was our favorite place for breakfast and dinner. The delicious smell of warm bread, wine, and dish of choice. The gorgeous views of the Aegean Sea made our stomachs perform backflips. There were many visitors there from Europe, US, Australia, and none, believe me, looked anorexic. From this veranda, we noticed people taking a narrow path leading to a little white church with a blue dome. Of course, we had to explore. We took the path, and along the way, we gathered oregano and thyme. The goats were the first ones to welcome us on the church's premises. You see them here on the wall. The church was tiny, but active. There we discovered that Sifnos is known as the island with the most churches in Cyclades. There are 365 churches as per the days of the year. It is no wonder why the island is famous for the large number of religious festivals. Many churches celebrate the name day of their particular saint with a panegyric, a feast with music, dancing, and the singing of songs. There, a visitor has an opportunity to become familiar with the culture of the island and the famous Sifnian traditional cuisine for free. Sifnos, indeed, is a popular tourist destination, but it has managed to keep its customs and traditions intact in the form of these religious festivals. One of the biggest ones during the summer is the festival of the monastery of Panagia Chrysopigi. Panagia means Virgin Mary. This church houses the icon of Panagia. This icon of Panagia is very important to the island, and it is most venerated. Legend has it that it was found on the waves by Sifnian fishermen. Here is the church from a distance. Since the icon was found on the waves by Sifnian fishermen, many miracles have been ascribed to this icon, with the first one being the reason why there is a bridge between the rock where the church was built on, you see it here, and the rest of the island. There is a gap over here, and a bridge was built to connect the two. According to tradition, a group of women went to the church to light the candles and saw the doors open and a few pirates sleeping on the floor on the church. Quietly, they lighted the candles, and while they were trying to leave, the pirates woke up and started to chase after them. Then a strong earthquake took place and separated the peninsula off from the rest of the island. The pirates got frightened and never returned. In most recent years, Panagia saved the island from a cloud of locusts that were eating everything in their path for 3 years. And another time, during the procession of the icon on the day of the Ascension of Christ, she saved the island from an outbreak of the plague that had already left many people dead. In remembrance of this event, they celebrate Panagia, the day of the Ascension of Christ, and not on August 15, as we normally do. All the locals were talking about this festival and preparing eagerly. We did not want to be left out, and of course, we attended. It started at the capital of Sifnos, Apollonia, population 869, home of the island's folklore museum. Also, the Apollonia has a library and the Church of Aios Spiridonas. It was the day of the Ascension, and the icon of Panagia was brought to this church, Aios Spiridonas. A church service was offered to honor Panagia, where a plethora of people attended. Over here in the town of Apollonia, I have taken a picture of this taverna in the back, and I liked the white wall and the bougainvillea, the red bougainvillea against the white wall. Over here, also what I liked, it's the street. You see the street that takes you to the church, and the street has it has the plaques and the white lines that were painted freshly the day before, this festival. After the church service, a procession started, and with the sponsor family of the festival, priests, dignitaries, visitors from other islands. They accompanied the icon to the port to board this ferry. The mission was to bring the icon of Panagia to the monastery of Panagia Chrysopigi. A huge crowd was waiting at the monastery, and then after a couple hours, the ferry was spotted and a pandemonium began. The caretaker of the church started to sound the bells, The ferry siren went off, and other small boats, like the ones you see here on this slide, lit up the sky with fireworks. The ferry made 3 circles, and then a fishing boat came next to it and picked up the icon. You see the fishing boat. Picked up the icon along with the sponsor family, priests, and guests. In the meantime, the path with the many steps I mentioned before, the many steps that takes you from the jetty to the church, these steps were all lined up with people, young girls dressed in local costumes, and they were covering, you see the girls here dressed in local costumes, and they were covering the procession path with flower petals. The Port Authority's band was playing music, and naval officers saluting, local dignitaries, and the gathered crowd making the sign of the cross as the bishop went by holding the icon, accompanied by a number of priests while chanting hymns. The icon was brought inside the church and another service started. Upon completion of the service, all visitors were invited to a big feast, again for free. One of the local delicacies was served there was revitada, chickpea stew. This is usually made by the locals on a Sunday for dinner. This was offered along with other delicacies, again by the sponsor family for free. The icon stayed all night at the church, and in the morning a new procession started, where the priest with a number of faithful went on foot from village to village to bless everyone on the island. The icon returned to Agios Peridona in Apollonia, where a new sponsor took over the organizing of next year's festival. One, however, might think, is Sifnos only known for the number of churches and festivals? Of course not. Number one, Sifnos has ancient history. You see here on this slide, ruins of an ancient theater in Apollonia. Apollonia, again, the capital of Sifnos. Archaeological evidence shows that Sifnos was in the mainstream of the Cycladic civilization going back to late Neolithic and early Bronze Age. Settlers from Asia Minor came to the island in early Bronze Age. They worked in marble and stone and traded overseas. During the 12th century before Christ, Sifnos was mostly populated by Ionian Greeks from Athens. In the 6th century before Christ, it was invaded by pirates from Samos. In the 5th century before Christ, Sifnos, as an official member of the Greek alliance, fought in the Persian Wars and was conquered briefly by the Persians. Alexander the Great, however, liberated the island. There are findings in the Castro village that life continued on during the Roman and Byzantine era. Later, a few dynasties ruled the island, such as the Sanudo family, later the Coronas for over 100 years, and finally the Cosadini family ruled till 1617. During the Ottoman rule, Sifnos pretty much administered its own affairs, with the Ottomans simply collecting taxes. But by the early 17th century, Sifnos was a significant commercial center, and from 1821, the island played an important role in the Greek War of Independence. Number two, Sifnos was the rich island. The ancient historian Herodotus describes Sifnos as the wealthiest Greek island. The island was very wealthy because of its natural resources. Sifnos was mining gold and silver. Remains of ancient mines are found in different parts of the island, with the most important ones at Agios Osti. You see here in the slide, the location of Agios Sosти. In the 6th century before Christ, the Sifnians, in order to house their offerings, they built a treasury, a fancy building in an ancient Greek cult center at Delphi. At some point though, and I talked here about treasury, that concept was known to the Greeks back in the 6th century before Christ. At some point though, greed took over the Sifnians and suspended their tribute. Now, either that made the gods angry, as some Sifnians believed, or according to modern scholars, they dug too deep, reaching sea levels, and the mines close to the sea were flooded, like this mine over here in my slide. It was close to the sea, and they dug too deep, so they hit water. The ones far from the sea, they were simply exhausted, like this one. Pausanias, the ancient historian, in his writings, has referred to the flooded mines. Number 3, Sifnos was the first place in Greece to mint silver coins. It was around 600 before Christ, but the number minted was not that significant. The island of Aegina, however, was more successful. They bought silver from the Sifnians and produced silver coins at a greater capacity. What I have over here in this slide, this is really a silver coin from Aegina. I have enlarged the actual size, that it's between a nickel and a quarter. I have enlarged it so you can see also the engraved turtle here. Number 4, Sifnos is the island of flavors. The award-winning chef Nikolaos Tsalemides was born in Exabela, a village of Sifnos, in 1878. He is considered one of the most influential cookery writers of modern Greece, publishing the first complete cookbook in Greek in 1920. You see a copy over here. That year, he came to America and worked in some of the more expensive restaurants of the world, while also following higher studies in cooking. He stayed till 1932, and then he returned to Greece. He stayed in the US for 12 years. He became influenced by French cuisine and introduced the Greek housewives to bechamel sauce. This sauce we use when we make pasticcio and moussaka, and bouillabaisse, the fish soup. The name Tsalemides today in Greece is a synonym of cookbook and good cooking. Sifnos, to honor and remember Tsalemides, is organizing a 3-day festival beginning each September in Artemona, the second largest town. Over 20 islands participate, cooking their traditional dishes on the spot, displaying their local products while music and dancing, theatrical events, lectures, and thematic exhibitions take place. Like over here, the children learning the Tsalemides ways of cooking. Number 5, Sifnos is the birthplace of famous poets, like Ioannis Griparis. I have a picture here of his home in Artemona, and you see his statue in the garden and a plaque that writes about him. Also, other famous poets are Kleanthis Triandafylou and Aristomenes Provelegios. Number 6, Sifnos is the birthplace of Nikolaos Chrysogelos, an educator who organized a revolutionary force against the Turks in 1821. Later, he served as Greece's Minister of Education. What you see here is his statue, and you see a group of people who are ready to start a torch race. Number 7, Sifnos is the Aegean capital of pottery. The island earned this fame from the rich clay found there, the sunny weather, the temperature, and the Sifnian artistry. The unique jars and pots are a trademark of the island, and they are typical of the Sifnian everyday life, such as cooking vessels and food vessels like the one that you see here called mastello, where they prepare the most delicious lamb. Trust me, I had that, and it was most delicious. Also, they're famous over here for this flaro. Flaro, they call this in singular, flari in plural. Tula made a mention of that. She experienced that in Athens. Flari, they're made out of clay. Here, they're decorative pieces, but they also use them, and they use them in the past, and they still use them today as caps for chimneys. And the openings they have over here on the sides, they allow the smoke to come out, but at the same time, they prevent the rain from coming in. Sifnos, although a tiny island, it has so much more history to offer. I only touched the surface. And before I close my presentation, I would like to talk a little about the location Castro that you see here in my slide. In ancient times, until 1836, this village of Castro, 118 population, was the capital of the island till 1836. It was the capital. It was built on top of a high cliff going back to medieval times. Before that, this site was the ancient Acropolis of Sifnos. I could not resist, and I took a picture from top of the Castro of the Aegean Sea. Look at this. In the Castro, you're going to find the island's archaeological museum with extensive medieval remains, a collection of Byzantine coins substantiating the fact that there was civilization there in the Byzantine times. The museum has more impressive findings, including sarcophagi. Those are marble coffins. I saw them outside the museum. Intertwined with the old, however, you will find the new. You see the old, the sign that points you to the archaeological museum, and also the new. You see the modern life here, with cute cafes, cafeterias, and restaurants offering mouth-watering delicacies along with magnificent views. Sifnos also has gorgeous sandy beaches such as Platizia Los with beautiful, calm, crystal clear water, eye-pleasing views, and tavernas lined up along the beach. Like the one you see over here, and my husband waiting for me to finish my swim and come and visit him to have a nice dinner there. And to let you in a secret, before I went swimming, I went to the taverna to check what they had prepared for dinner. And then I will choose what I wanted to eat. And then I told them, you know, I'll take a swim and come and have dinner with my husband. Sifnos will stay in my memory as a unique, pleasant experience that I would like to repeat again, as I have heard the same from other tourists that keep coming back. Thank you for your time. Hopefully you enjoyed this virtual trip, and I'm sure soon you will be starting to think about making your own reservations to physically be there to experience what I had. Thank you again.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you so much. It's so amazing that a small island like Sifnos can have such a profound and cultural history. And you brought us closer, if only virtually, to understanding more about the fascinating island of Sifnos. I want to give a special shout out now again to Mark Pizzata, our Zoom trainer and support guy at Stockton University, who has patiently stood by us throughout this entire process. Mark, one more week, just one more week, hang in there with us. And in the email that I sent you with the program link for today, there is a very entertaining link to a cooking demonstration of traditional Cycladic style chickpea stew as described by Maria. There's also going to be a link to how to make bechamel sauce, so you can make your own moussaka and pasticcio. So remember to send any questions you have to fhs@stockton.edu. And once again, I will send out the questions and answers to all of you who registered. And next Sunday, May 17th, we round out this year's event when Dr. Manya Bean takes us to one of the most popular Cycladic islands, Paros. Paros is known for its beautiful beaches and its good wine. And in recent news, the British-based Clean Blue Alliance initiative, which helps islands eliminate plastic waste in seas and oceans, has selected Paros as its first island initiative. Within the email you will receive at the end of this week, there will be a link that explains more. Well, that'll be the next time, actually, that I'll send you a link about this exciting environmental effort. You have enough links, but there will be one more, and that is, I invite you to take a listen to the Quarantine Balos. The link will explain everything. Balos is a special Cycladic style dance, song and dance, and I think you'll really enjoy the video. So have your mezan wine ready again, or your ouzo or tsipuro or your Pepsi, and join us for our third and final session next time.